fofo. For the city and the back roads, got a whole county full of them goats. All from the fofo, and that's gold. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmerton and Valley. We from the fofo, chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcon. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And kinda got flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. This for the fofo. This for the fofo. This for the fofo.
Good morning and happy Friday to everybody from Sam Torres here at the 440 Sports Show. A lot of great topics we're going to cover today, including some of the results from last night's district semifinals, as well as some of the district play on the girls' side. We have a couple teams whose season ends and a couple teams whose seasons will continue. Also going to talk about some events that we have coming up this weekend, including tonight, where we will be going to the Spire to cover some Ohio Prep Conference basketball. Get into that a little bit later into the show, but that's going to be a phenomenal game. You're going to want to check that out right here on ysnlive.com. That as well as all the content that we produce. If you're ever having any trouble, you can feel free to message the YSN Facebook page, or you can message me. But if it's during a game, I will tell you it's very difficult for me to kind of look at those messages and provide any help, because usually I'm really in the middle of a broadcast. I'm pretty much in the zone. But it was a pretty great night of basketball last night. Girard ends up taking the loss in overtime to Gilmore Academy, but we'll go through some of those, go through that with the scores. Really looking forward to this Spire thing tonight as well. So let's jump right into the scores from last night, provided to you by www.ysnlive.com/scores. This is where you're going to want to go to get all of the accurate and updated scores for all of the teams within YSN Network, which includes 7 of the 8 Ashtabula County schools, all part of that YSN network, all part of the YSN family. Starting off, we're going to go with boys basketball. Carrollton is going to fall. Oh, I'm sorry. That looks like the wrong one. So let me get rid of that 1 second. That is definitely the wrong one. You get that updated. I am so sorry. That happens from time to time. That's the beautiful thing with live stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, they're not the scoreboard. The scores are not up yet. They'll be up later on this morning from YSN Live Sports. But we're going to talk. Definitely, we're going to go into some greater detail with the final of 61 to 55, 61 to 55 for Gilmore Academy versus Girard. In this game was really probably one of the most exciting games I've called as a broadcaster. You start this game off and you've got Girard coming in. Girard is a conference champion. They a three-way conference champion with Jefferson, South Range, and Girard being the 3 guys at the top. And Girard came out, got the job done pretty early. Thomas Cardero, who is their 1,000 point, he's a 1,000 point scorer for this team. He's also a senior. This guy he's a forward, but he plays a lot more like a point forward. Really went out there, showed well, 22 points in a district semifinal game, in a game that you could see it was very, very obvious that they were planning for him, because he had a lot of defense on him pretty much the entire time he was on the court. They relied on some other guys to step up, including Gus Johnson, who ends the game with 15 points. Excuse me. Ryan Fitzgerald goes out there last night. He number 5 for the Girard Indians, plays just a great game overall. The Girard Indians, unfortunately, are going to lose to Gilmore Academy, because Gilmore Academy has a phenomenal point guard in Adisa Moulton. Adisa Moulton ends the game with 25 points, and they had some absolutely huge points from guys off of the bench. It was a back and forth affair. You could feel Girard begin to lose momentum right there toward the end of the game, and that's really where it got kind of difficult for them. And the Gilmore Academy Lakers, to their credit, jumped all over that, remained calm, remained cool the entire time. I think, there were some people that weren't happy maybe with some of the calls and that sort of thing, but I do want to say that I believe personally, overall, I think the game was officiated very well. I think it was pretty even back and forth. They called the game, tighter in the beginning, a little bit looser at the end, but again, it was both ways. So that sets up a huge matchup for Saturday as Gilmore Academy gets prepared to play Ursuline, the Fighting Irish. And one of the things I want to talk about is some of the matchups you're going to see in that game on Saturday, which I think are going to be so very interesting. One of the big ones to watch, Brandon Rose, who is number 23 for Gilmore Academy, versus Jaden Payne. Those are two big guys. Gilmore Academy has some height on the bench as well. Brandon Rose sits at about 6'3", 6'4", but they've got another young man, I believe he's a sophomore over at Gilmore Academy, by the name of Tim Lee, who came in off the bench last night, provided some quality minutes, and that's actually what helped them, kind of get ahead. Another one we're talking about last night, for Gilmore, on the Gilmore Academy side, now you're talking about it's a tie ball game, or they're down by 1. It was Zachary Titus for Gilmore Academy comes in overtime and nails a 3-pointer just like a dart, and you could see really kind of like a deflation really happen after that shot drops. And after that, the Lakers had all the momentum they need. A couple turnovers later, and they're celebrating a district semifinal championship. But Brandon Rose and Jaden Payne are two big guys that you're going to be looking at this weekend if you get a chance to watch the game. That game, along with all the other games for teams on this network, is going to be available on YSN via the Virtual Pass. The Virtual Pass, the very best value in all of sports streaming, particularly high school sports streaming. You're going to pay $10. You're going to get all the games that are available for that day. It's really just a great way to do it. OHSA has some funds that some charges rather that get imposed when you get into the tournament play, and in order to offset those costs, which can be pretty large, especially when you're covering 60 plus teams at the beginning, and as these things tighter down, we have to put through the Virtual Pass. It's $10 though. You're going to get all the content for playoff basketball that day via the Virtual Pass. This Saturday, you're going to get Ursuline versus Gilmore Academy. This is for the district championship. Ursuline on a redemption path, as last year they come right up here, play the districts at Lakeside High School, and lose to Howland. Howland with an absolutely phenomenal basketball player by the name of Anthony Masucci, who pretty much powered them through getting through Ursuline, and that's something that has never stuck well with them. You can hear the coach talking about, they're really, they were upset with the way that last year ended. Looking forward to getting a shot at the district title again this year. But Brandon Rose and Jaden Payne is a matchup you're going to have to watch. It's going to be two big guys that are going to be going at each other the entire time. Two incredibly talented big guys as well. These guys aren't big and slow with bad feet. These guys are big guys who are going to be able to block shots, get down the floor. They can shoot the mid-range jumper. Both of them play very much above the rim. Brandon Rose getting a dunk in the game last night, which was another kind of momentum swing in the favor of Gilmore Academy. But he's going to have a tough task because Jaden Payne is the real deal Holyfield. Jaden Payne with 22 points in his victory over Edgewood, and Edgewood was doing everything they could to stop that young man, but he wasn't taking no for an answer. Another one, and I think that's going to be a great matchup, but I think the prime matchup this Saturday, and you heard it here first, folks, the biggest matchup coming up this weekend is going to be Adisa Moulton for Gilmore Academy versus Terrence Pankey. Both of these guys are very, very talented guards. Both of these guys are going to be aggressive with the ball in their hand. They're going to go out there and it's going to be a back and forth affair. I can't wait to check this out. I'm not exactly sure who is going to be covering the game. We'll get that information out here just a little bit later. But it will be covered this weekend, and it's going to be available on YSM because, you know, that's what we do. We want to make sure that all of the local sports, all of our local sports teams are getting the proper press and the proper coverage. And that's why we strive so much to keep that going as these teams work their way to Dayton. It's going to be a phenomenal day of basketball. That much I can be sure of. And starting off on Saturday with that Ursuline and Gilmore Academy game, it's going to be great. And there's some other guys on both sides of the ball that, we talked primetime matchups for these guys. There's a couple of guys on each side of the ball that I think are going to play a bigger part as well. When you're talking for Ursuline, you're talking about guys like Bako. You know what I mean? They're going to have to play some primetime minutes. They're going to have to get the job done. It's really going to, once you're at the districts, you're not playing an easy team ever. Anytime you get to the districts, both of those teams had to win a lot of basketball to get there. Over on the Gilmore Academy side, they got a guy by Lawless is his name. I believe his name is Justin Lawless, who was able to come in and really be a contributor as well. And I think that's one of the matchups that I'm looking forward to watching there too, is how is the bench going to work here? Ursuline runs like an 8-man rotation. So, I think I've heard upwards of maybe at nine guys at sometimes. So that's going to give them a bit of the upper hand because you get to keep more guys fresh. And, sometimes it's not always just about how many guys you're rotating in. It's when those guys rotate in, can they continue the momentum of the team? Anybody can do a huge rotation, but if you're putting guys out there that are going to kind of kill off the way the game's being played, then you're not really helping yourself by resting your guys. One of the things I did see last night for Gilmore Academy is Adisa Moulton, number 25, who is their point guard there, played the entire game. I don't know that young man touched the bench. And when they were talking, when you're talking about a couple seconds left in overtime, he is still playing like he has fresh legs, absolutely aggressive toward the basket. So when it comes to a motor, I don't think there's a question for Gilmore Academy. They've got a couple guys that are big as well, including David Funstein. And David Funstein is going to play big time for them, and Zachary Titus also another big time forward for Gilmore Academy. But it's going to be, I'm telling you, this one is going to be a big time back and forth matchup between Ursuline and Gilmore Academy. I'm really looking forward to that one. You're going to be able to see it. If you want to get a look at what these teams look like in previous games, head over to ysnlive.com, go to the archives. For last night, you'll be able to get a look at Gilmore Academy if you download the Girard versus Gilmore Academy game. And that's a great game to kind of judge them by, because there was a huge controversies in that game where they had to come back from being down, and Girard was truly feeling themselves, as well they should have been. Thomas Cardero and Gus Johnson were playing a heck of a game. At times during the game, it didn't look like there was any doubt. But unfortunately, that fourth quarter comes back and it bites them, and the Lakers take advantage of that. as well as Ursuline and Edgewood. That's available right there on ysnlive.com. You go under ysnlive.com, go to teams, go to Ursuline. You're going to be able to find that game as well as all of their basketball games this year. It's all available right there on YSN Live in the archive. It's really just a great archive if you ever want to, just get an idea of what some of these teams are doing as we head into tournament play. I know even myself personally, and I love high school sports. I try and keep up on everybody and every team and have at least a functional knowledge of everybody. But if you look, I mean, it's impossible to have it on absolutely everybody. So we get to rely on guys. We get to rely on the input and that sort of thing from guys who treat the teams in the Mahoning Valley area, the Trumbull Valley area, or the Trumbull County area, Columbiana County area, with the same gusto that I treat our Ashtabula teams with. And, when you get a personal input from these guys who have watched that, I like to say that I give a relatively accurate description of our teams. And if I don't, it is to me. It is to me, at least. So, we're going to go to a break here. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a couple events that are coming up. And we're also going to talk about some basketball that's going to be happening tonight right here on the network from a post-secondary, a post-grad level right there at Geneva Spire. It's really going to be an awesome. We've covered this once already this year. And tonight we're going to get a chance to cover some tournament play. So I'm going to go to a commercial, and we will be right back, folks. Sam Torres with the 440 Sports Show.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoning County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
As fine as the eye can see, the finest hardwoods from the finest trees. Made for your home and within your means, Baird Brothers will help fulfill your dreams. Let life and light come shining through in quiet morns. And heavy traffic, too. Find your easy-to-afford fine hardwood floors and doors and more at BairdBrothers.com.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
All right, we're back out of that break. I do want to send a congratulations out to another team right here from the YSN Network, Badger, as they head over to Grand Valley High School right here in Ashtabula County for a district title game versus Cornerstone Christian. That should be a great game. One of the teams, obviously, that everybody expected to be in the district title game playing tonight, Richmond Heights, as they're going to take on sorry, I just had it pulled up. I'm sorry. Anyway, they're getting ready for their district title game tonight. Canfield versus Cheney, which is going to be an absolute banger because Canfield has really come back and fired through all cylinders this year. Buchtel versus Villa Angela St. Joe's. Lutheran West going to be taking on Akron East. CVCA going to be taking on Glenville. Perry and that Jalen Richards show. Boy, have they had a year in Perry, getting ready to take on Beechwood and their new reincarnation of Mark Price and Luke Lurie. That game is going to be one maybe that could be a good game to watch. The battle of the point guards right there. Two excellent scoring point guards going to be taking each other on there. Lutheran East taking on South Range. That's going to be at Warren Harding High School. Lake Catholic taking on Cardinal Mooney. The battle of the parochials right there, folks. Cuyahoga Heights versus Smithville. Norwayne versus Canton Central Catholic. Richmond Heights is going against Mogador or Mogador, whichever pronunciation makes you more comfortable. I know I get my chops busted every time I talk about that school. Warren JFK going to be taking on Dalton. Warren JFK, obviously one of our YSN family members there. And Badger taking on Cornerstone Christian at Grand Valley High School. It's going to be a phenomenal weekend of high school basketball, and you're going to get the best coverage right here on ysnlive.com. We've got, not including myself, just some of the best announcers with the most, gusto, the most excitement. These guys are doing their very best to paint the picture and show you what kind of superstars that these kids truly are. It's really something that I'm really just blessed to be a part of this. And I'll tell you what, there's an information highway amongst broadcasters that we have here. And it's just great to be able to reach out to guys and get some input and some intel and what were you seeing and that sort of thing. And I think what it does is it just gives you a better shot at better commentary. Talk about a couple of events that are coming up. We'll talk about one on Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. We're going to Edgewood High School. Girls going to tip off at 5:30. Boys are going to tip off at 7:30. That roster just recently released over on the Facebook page for Edgewood Athletics. I'm really looking forward to this one. I absolutely love the senior game. It gives everybody a chance. It gives everybody a chance to, go out there for one last hurrah. And for Ashtabula this year, it's genuinely going to be one last hurrah because, we don't have any teams left here in the tournament with Edgewood falling off against the big bad wolf that is Ursuline. But I'm going to run through some of these names for you. One of the things I'm really excited about, I want to let everybody know, and I'll be releasing all this stuff on our Instagram, on our Facebook, all that stuff. 3-point challenge is coming up. So we'll start with the girls roster. St. John's High School's Colleen Anderson, Joanna Anick from Edgewood, Shayna Calloway from Grand Valley, Casey Kanicki from Edgewood, Tatum Martinez from Jefferson, Malinka Moody from Jefferson, Eva Oster from St. John, Lainey Passanen from Conneaut, Cora Zalai from Conneaut, Willow Twining from St. John, Giovanna Victor from Edgewood, Kaylee Williams from Geneva. And here we go, Team Orange. That team is going to be coached by Tom Rattari, who's Conneaut's head coach. Team Orange, which is going to be coached by Coach Randy Venzel. And what a year they had this year with Coach Venzel at behind the reins. I mean, I'll tell you what, it's really coach of the year type stuff is what he did. That's where I'd go with that. Coach Randy Venzel is one of the best I've ever seen. Caitlin Bean from Conneaut, Lily Easton from Grand Valley, Tamor Hoskin from Lakeside, Kaiden Housel from St. John, Carly James from Grand Valley, Ava Leninger from Jefferson, Sydney McKinney from Grand Valley, Brianna Melaragno from Edgewood, Elena Nesparenko, who is a senior for PV, Harley Schellenberger from St. John, Tori Skarupa from Edgewood, and Darby Skaita from Jefferson. That is going to be your roster. Now, also, there's going to be a 3-point challenge, which I think just is so awesome coming up. And then in this 3-point shootout, you're going to have Kaylee Williams from Geneva, Cora Zalai from Conneaut, Elena Nesparenko, Colleen Anderson from PV, Colleen Anderson from St. John, Tamora Hoskin from Lakeside, Carly James from Grand Valley, Malinka Moody from Jefferson, and Casey Kanicki from Edgewood. I think she is the early favorite in this one, but in those 3-point contests, anytime people get a little too comfortable, there always seems to be a surprise there. So I'm interested to see if they're going to be able to how that one is going to kind of pan out for sure. Moving on over to the boys side of it, boys senior rosters coming out. The Team Black, which is going to be coached by Coach John Bowler, who the same thing we said about Coach Randy Venzel could be applied to Coach John Bowler. What an absolutely incredible year those guys at Edgewood had. I mean, Edgewood basketball this year is really kind of the top of the tops when it comes. They really got the job done, both boys and girls programs. But getting on to this roster, Ben Anservitz from Conneaut. I'm really looking forward to seeing this young man on the court again. His season gets cut due to what I personally believe is a garbage and unfair rule behind transfers. So he only gets to play half of his season of basketball play in his senior year due to some transfer issues, which are ridiculous. But Ben Anservitz from Conneaut going to get to play. Nate Boyarsky, the chef, making his way on the court for the final time from Grand Valley. Angelo Colazzo from Lakeside. Cam Crockett from Lakeside. Dan Hall from Geneva. Luke Harvey from PV. Jamil Haynes from Lakeside. And I'll tell you what, I'm putting out a challenge right now. You heard it here, Jamil Haynes. I've seen some highlights of you dunking in basketball games this year. I got to see at least one in this senior game. If you're going to go out there, let it all out. Jamil Haynes, personal challenge to you, my friend. Get a dunk in that basketball game. Anthony Kasicek, the menace from Geneva, one of the best defensive point guards you're going to see out there. Nathan Costin from Conneaut. James, the Quiet Storm, Montenero from Edgewood. Jimmy Robles from Lakeside. Zach and Ty Venzel. It's a Venzel convention for Coach Bowler on that Team Black, both from Edgewood. Moving on over to Team Orange, and we've got Ryan Shantz. And Ryan Shantz, the coach behind the 20-win PV Lakers. Now, their season comes to an end just this week, as they do lose in the district semifinals. But what a year for them. Tyler Britton, honest to God, is one of the best basketball players I've seen. And that's going to be the first one on his team, Tyler Britton of PV. Ryan Kaltisis from Grand Valley going to be out there. Ty Hamilton from Lakeside. Larry Ham, 6'4" Larry Ham from Conneaut. He is a big guy that can change a lot of shots. That's really it's really fun getting to watch him play as well. Gavin Hedrick from Conneaut. Jesus Hernandez. We remember him very well with that big-time in-game dunk as they played Lordstown, getting up, getting busy, big fella. Some of the best footwork you're going to see from a post player right there in Jesus. Caden Hetzmanberger from Lakeside. Grant Hitchcock from Jefferson. John Moschel from PV. Christian Rogers from Jefferson. Jimmy Severino from St. John, who is a heck of a shooter in his own right and very, very fast. Landon Spencer from Grand Valley, and Deshaun Williams, Lakeside's #1 point guy this year, all taking part on Team Orange. It's really going to be an awesome game. And then we got a 3-point contest over there as well. Taking part in the 3-point contest this year for 2023, it's going to be Zach Venzel, Nathan Costin from Conneaut, Grant Hitchcock from Jefferson, Jimmy Severino from St. John, John Moschel from PV, Anthony Kasicek from Geneva, Landon Spencer from Grand Valley, and Deshaun Williams from Lakeside. That is what is going to be going on at that Senior Classic. I'm really looking forward to that one. It's going to be all broadcast right here on Tuesday, starting at 5:30. We're going over to Edgewood High School for this Senior Classic. It's going to be a whole. I cannot tell you guys enough how fun it is to get to watch these kids go out there, and they genuinely just have a good time with it. You know what I mean? It's a little reminiscent of the NBA All-Star game. I know last year those guys were out there trying to get their best Steph Curry impersonation on. Guys were shooting that thing from about 3 steps inside a half court. It was awesome. This year I want to see some dunk. I want to see some above the rim action from these Ashtabula County athletes. Personal challenge getting out to Jamil Haynes, but I know there's some other guys who can get up and above that rim for sure. So that's going to be on the 7th. On the 25th of March is when we head down to Youngstown State, baby. It's the All-Star game. We're going to have the best of the network right here, one place on the big stage at Youngstown State. 5:30 start for the girls, with the boys to start right after. First year that I'm getting a chance to take part in this one, and I cannot be more excited. Not only am I going to be taking part of it, but this is the first year that we're going to have Ashtabula County teams represented right in there. All 7 of the YSN Ashtabula County teams are going to have representation at this game, so it's something you're going to want to watch. And we're not going to just have representation from the player side. We got some coaches in there too. So it's really just going to be a super fun event. Make sure you mark your calendars there. There are some guys that are going to go out there and get to play against the best basketball players in Northeast Ohio, folks. I can comfortably say that, as YSN currently servicing 68 Northeast Ohio schools with some of the best. Again, that one happening right there on March 25th. I'll keep talking about it until that day, I can promise you. One of the things I want to talk about coming up next is tonight we head back to the Geneva Spire for the Ohio Prep Conference basketball tournament tonight. And it is one you're going to watch. This one will be free. This one will be on the network for free. You can check out some high level basketball getting played right here on YSN. Now, we've covered them already once this year, earlier this, and actually it's going to be a rematch on this one, because this is a tournament. And excuse me, sorry, I don't know why my computer is trying to kick me off here. That's not good. Anyway, sorry, getting back to where we were. We covered this team already once, and we covered this matchup already once. Spire taking on Western Reserve Academy. Western Reserve Academy went out there, put on an absolute show, but the Spire Black team was not, or Spire Red was not one to be messed with, including guys like Bryant and Daniel Young. Those guys are absolute monsters on the court. I'm really looking forward to getting to cover this game one more time. These guys have always gotten the job done. When I went out there, we've got an upcoming story coming up for Daniel Jones too. And he's really got it's an interesting story that we're putting together right now. Daniel Jones, or Daniel Young, excuse me. Daniel Young is, I guess you would call him a relatively local kid. He's a Shaker Heights kid who's going to be playing at the Division I level next year for Cleveland State. Some of the other guys for Spire Red, Xavier Martinez, who's the smoothest point guard you're ever going to see in your life tonight. It's really worth watching this game just to watch him tie people up in knots on the court. It's like that ball is a yo-yo with him, and he's very, very fast. Daniel Pounds is a 6'6" guard on their team. And this kid, his name is truly accurate, as Daniel Pounds pounds that thing into the rim. He plays above the rim, and every time he dunks, it's like Daryl Dawkins out there. Chocolate Thunder, rip the rim down. Like, it's hard dunks, a momentum guy. If he blocks the shot, sometimes it ends up in the parking lot. dude is the real deal Holyfield out there. It's just going to be super fun to get to watch these guys again. Sam Marbury is a Solon kid, so some I guess what you would call familiarity. Some of the names you've seen up and around here. Iman Drake Ford is a 6'8" kid from Chicago, Illinois, and he's on this Spire Red post grad. And silky smooth game. Really, good in the post when it comes to footwork. His spin work is great. Western Reserve's got a young man by the name of Yalaho that gave Spire a ton of problems the last time they played. That replay is available on YSN Live as well if you want to get an idea of what you're looking at tonight. But that's going to be one of two games we're covering tonight at the Spire, with our coverage starting at 4 o'clock because this is a tournament. Post-secondary. So all these guys are 1 year removed from high school on their way toward college. So doesn't count against their eligibility. But all of these guys, to get into these programs, you really have to be an elite basketball player that's trying to get something, in order for a Division I AA, that sort of thing. So all of these guys you're going to be seeing moving on to the next level into Division I programs next year. So, LaMelo Ball, that's where he's playing is in these types of programs. So you never know who you're going to see. It's definitely great basketball. They are coached at an incredibly high level right here at Geneva Spire. And Geneva Spire as a whole is something that I want people to kind of start paying more attention to, because it's a world-class facility that we have right here in Ashtabula County. The growth that they are charted to have is incredible. They are trying to create this super sports complex right here in Northeast Ohio. And they're bringing in some of the best athletes in the country right here. We're going to get a chance to see that tonight. I will be on the call. And then as for tomorrow, there'll be a championship game there. I'm not sure how that's going to go. Stay tuned. We'll keep you guys up to date on that. But it's going to be, I know tonight is going to be great basketball. That much I can promise you. The last time we went out there, we saw this exact matchup, Spire versus Western Reserve. At that time, they were the number 1 and number 2 teams in the Ohio Prep Conference. And they did not disappoint. High flying. And I think the number one thing you're going to see when you watch this game tonight is how fast this game truly is. The camera work is right now. Boom, 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 boom. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, these kids get up and down the court quicker than anybody you've seen at a high school level. You know what I mean? I always say that when you get to these post-grad or that first year of college, it's basically take your all-star game from high school and now take the all-stars from that and put them on the team. So that's what we got going on tonight, guys. I want to thank you all for joining me today on this happy Friday here on the 440 Sports Show. Coming up this weekend, we've got all kinds of basketball. Make sure you tune in tonight and check out this Spire tournament that I will be broadcasting right here on YSN Live. We've got some playoff basketball that's going to be on the network via the virtual pass. That's all going to be available. Make sure you're paying attention throughout the day today as Talk More with Matt Morrison coming up a little bit later. And then right after that, Running Point with my main man, Anthony Hartwig, running there. And I'm sure he's going to have some dynamite interviews, and he really just does a great job with that. Another daily show. And then we got to go with the cornerstone of the network, and that is Power Hour with the one and the only DJ Yoakley, ending the day out. I think he's coming back today. I know he was on his way back from Vegas, thank God, as he accepting a 40 under 40 award. And I can't think of anybody, honestly, who deserves it more than him. Not just through this East Palestine crisis, but he's somebody who has done so much to keep stuff like this going and, get this network up and running and keep it going. So want to thank you all for joining us and invite you to join us again on Monday. We're going to take it off for the weekend and come back and join up as some of my friends talk about high school sports from the Youngstown's perspective coming up soon. Sam Torres here, 440 Sports Show. Thanks.
This for the football. This for the football. All from the 440 and let's go. Hey, it's just for Beulah County. Yeah, right on your head like a bounty. Said I'm from Beulah, they know I'm from Beulah, so let me just go talk about my surroundings. Shout out them Eagles that's out in Geneva, them Lakers, oh yeah, that's Palmetto and Valley. We from the 440 chasing these goals. If you in the way, you get taken out proudly. And Jefferson soaring with Falcons. Said that you working, you ain't really working. You see that we working, our hands got a callus. Putting in reps till we moving some mountains. Edgewood got warriors, they won't allow it. Me, I bleed green and gold, they know defeating those dragons who run the whole city. You wildin'. And they really bout it, yeah. And next we gon' go to Grand Valley. Work like a horse and don't show no remorse. So opponents keep coming, we stack them and pile them, yeah. And Connie, I flooded with Spartans. As soon as they pull up on game day, we park them. Cause we number one in that spot, ain't a bargain. Man, shout out St. John, they be ballin' like Harden. Switch for the 4-4.